Thank you. Good. Dylan Brock. Phil? You need to sing? Now or after lunch? Dylan, after lunch. Phil Hancock. Those citizens that are from Lewis County, the actual Lewis County, out here after the assembly, meet with lady here and Mrs. Tennant for a picture after lunch. Gentlemen. Gentlemen, we have a noon speaker. Introduce that noon speaker is Doug Ernest.
You guys are in for a treat today. Today I'm proud to introduce to you Secretary of State Natalie Tennant. She's from Marion County. She grew up on a farm she's the youngest of 7 children. Her father was a retired school principal, and her mother was a teacher. She's a graduate of North Marion High School and continued her education at West Virginia University. She has a passion for her school, and she wanted to represent it the best way possible, so she became the first female Mountaineer. After college, After college, she ran a successful small business before getting involved in politics. She ran for Secretary of State in 2008 and became West Virginia's 29th Secretary of State. She's been a leader in promoting open and engaging government and business-friendly initiatives. Because of this, in 2012, she was elected to a second term. She currently resides in Charleston, West Virginia, with her husband Eric Wells and daughter Delaney. She has a love and passion for the state, and she's a definition of what a true Mountaineer should be. Please give a round of applause for your Secretary of State, Natalie Tennant.
Good afternoon. You know, I thought being the first female Mountaineer might get a little bit more rousing. I was the Mountaineer before Brandon was the Mountaineer. And let me tell you, my beard is probably even grayer than his. Well, I don't know. I got a few strands here and there. Yours is, yeah. He's farther on his way than I am. Men of tomorrow. I love that. I'll tell you, for the last couple of days in preparation for my annual visit to Boys State, I have been singing about the men of tomorrow. And I love to hear that song, and I love to see all of you walk in every time I'm here. And why is that? For me, it's about hope. It's about inspiration. It's about, yes, we got this. Our state's in good shape, because these are the men of tomorrow for West Virginia. And I love that. I love that. Now, for you all, I believe that you have to see that a little differently. You're the men of tomorrow for our state. You have a huge responsibility. You have a huge responsibility. And what will your future be? What will it be? Thought about that? Maybe. Will you be a professional basketball player? Maybe in your dreams. Will you be an astronaut? Scientist, chemist? Yes. Will you be President of the United States? Yes. Because think about that. Who else were men of tomorrow who are now and have done those things? Like Jerry West, Neil Armstrong, a guy named Bill Clinton. So see, at one point in their lives, they were the men of tomorrow. And they have responded to what was requested of them. So it is great for me to be here, an honor always for me to be here. But I just think it's so special because I'm here today. June 14th, Flag Day. Flag Day for the United States. What's that? Well, you maybe, okay, if you guys want to give yourselves a little round of applause, because I think we all... We pledge allegiance to that same flag. And you know, Flag Day came about in 1777 because it was the anniversary of the flag resolution. So 1777, and as I was doing a little research on historyofFlag.org, there were many decades and local celebrations about the flag, but President Woodrow Wilson made a proclamation on May 30th, 1916, 100 years ago, officially established by the proclamation he made. And it was celebrated in various ways throughout our communities over the years after his proclamation, but not until August the 3rd, 1949, that President Truman signed an act of Congress truly designating June 14th of each year as National Flag Day. Way to celebrate who we are as Americans. Today is also Election Day. Well, and you all think I'm just talking about Election Day for you. As a matter of fact, many towns and municipalities across the state of West Virginia, it really is Election Day. Like a little place called Barrackville, Granttown, Westover, Cacapen Bridge, I think that's where we are, over there. All across the state. So it's Election Day too. And you know, a couple of weeks ago, we honored Memorial Day, we observed Memorial Day. And in a couple more weeks, we're going to celebrate the 4th of July. Right? America. We're going to celebrate America, aren't we? America. I think it's interesting. You all are playing right into what I'm talking about. You're all feeling pretty good about yourself, aren't you? Because we live in America. America. We celebrate. We designate days like Flag Day. We designate days to honor those we've lost like Memorial Day. We celebrate July 4th. We feel so good, don't we? You guys were doing that too. Woo-hoo, yeah, yeah. Do those days, though, define our democracy? Yeah. Makes you think a little bit, doesn't it? Do those celebrations define our democracy? Does our government define our democracy? Something to think about also. Because what I think is interesting is, yes, all of those could define democracy. But I would like to present to you also to think about, our citizens define our democracy. Somebody said, of course. Well, you think about this, that you all are here as citizens. You come to this camp as citizens. I think it might have been Thomas Jefferson who mentioned that, what is the highest position in our democracy? You know, we're in a presidential year, election year, 2016. What is the highest position in our democracy? That of the citizen. That of the citizen is our highest position. So that's where I think that our democracy is defined by our citizens. I mean, actually think about this. We became a democracy because of our citizens. If we wouldn't have had those citizens, I mean, there's various examples in our history of what really started it. You can think about the Boston Tea Party. I think about the Boston Massacre that really started that with the redcoats and the citizens on the street. So it was our citizens that helped to build this. And so what are we doing now as citizens? Not just citizens of Boise State, but citizens of this democracy. That when I first asked the question about government defining, does our government define what our democracy is, some of you guys are like, man, no way. But think about, what are we doing as citizens to define our democracy? Over the weekend, I was actually at the Democratic State Convention in Charleston. And some folks were challenging me and saying that we don't really have a democracy. You know, and I, as elected official, she particularly did not like me. Haters, I know, what are you gonna do with them? And the only reason, and this is what's interesting, I mean, I've had this happen to me before in my life. The only reason she didn't like me was because I was an elected official. I've had people hate me also just because I was a woman who was the Mountaineer. And in both of those cases, they didn't know me, they didn't know who I was, but only because of what they thought they saw, they hated me. So anyway, I digressed a little bit there. I went back 25 years to being the first woman Mountaineer mascot. But this woman challenged and said, you know, she thought I was arrogant, she thought I was rude, she thought I was rich, because I was an elected official. Now, I had to tell her, do you not know anything about me? About the fact, one, that I'm Secretary of State, and two, everybody everywhere I go, I say it 1,000 times, don't I? I am so proud to say I grew up on a farm, the youngest of 7 children. And let me tell you, when you grow up on a farm, raised by teachers on teacher salary, you're not rich. And that's what I told her. I said, I grew up poor and I'm still poor. So she was only thinking that, one, I was an elected official, she had this thought in her head. But secondly, what really concerned me is this thought that she thought that there was no democracy. And she didn't know about me. And I said, well, I can tell you this, that Secretary of State, I am known as the most transparent office in state government. And I'm known by that by conservative groups. It was called Watchdog West Virginia that gave me the Transparency Hero of the Year award, because we do webcasts, we do tweets, we do social media, we do all kind of things to be able to let folks know about what's going on in government. And she was like, I don't know any of that. And I said, but it's all out there, and especially with technology, right? Do you all embrace technology? You saw me using my notes from my phone. Any of you ever take notes on your phone? Yeah? Take pictures? Heck yeah. Communicate? Heck yeah. You think you could go on your phone? Actually, how much service do we have here? You're right. And as a matter of fact, I became prepared because of that too. Because I'm like, you know, I'm going to pull up that flag, that U.S. flag website, but what happens if it doesn't pop up because I don't have, so I put it on an email to myself. So I was prepared a little bit, and you're right, I have absolutely nothing to. So anyway, but we use technology. You know how your parents are communicating with you today? They are keeping an eye on you, by the way. Do you know how? Look right there and say, hi, Mom and Dad. Do you know what it is? It's the webcast. And I've always been impressed that the fact that Boise State has a webcast. I love it. I was following the tweets last night. Who would have thought? But do you see, my whole point gets back to this woman saying she's not happy with democracy and because she didn't know anything about me, that I must be hiding something because she didn't know anything about me. Does that make sense to you all? Because I'm one who likes to debate, so I kept getting into it with actually 2 women. And I said, where does the responsibility lie then? It relies on both of us, doesn't it? I, as an office holder, should be transparent, right? And put out all the information, as much information as I get, and as I can. That's why I need the help of media. That's why you all have journalism classes here. Alex is going to show you a few things. We're going to get, the Lewis County folks are going to get their picture taken by the Weston Democrat. You guys are from the Gazette Mail. So media is so important. And with technology, what we can do as office holders to make it available to you. But what's your responsibility? I'm not going to let you be like, oh, I don't like democracy because I don't know anything. What's the most important job in democracy? That of a citizen. And so that's why I compel you and ask you, don't sit around and be like, there's 420 some of us young men across the state of West Virginia in beautiful yellow t-shirts, and we're the cream of the crop. Anybody told you that this week? Everybody's told you that. You guys tired of hearing it? No, you should say no, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you to go and work even harder. That you're only as good, our democracy is only as strong as our citizens are. And as a matter of fact, I also say our democracy is only as strong as our most vulnerable citizen. Does that make sense to you all? Our democracy is only as strong as our most vulnerable citizen. So you all keep our democracy strong, and you're the cream of the crop. But if you're the cream of the crop, the most vulnerable citizen is down here. Someone who might not have access to transportation. Someone who might not have access to, we've had 2 vegetables and a fruit at this table. You all had access to that. There are people who don't have access to fruits and vegetables. That's only as strong as our democracy is, not what you all represent in this room. You have great potential to make our democracy as strong as stronger for our most vulnerable citizen. And that's what your job is. That's what your job is. Don't get too big for your britches. Feel good about yourselves, but don't get too big for your britches. And one way that I do that, and I haven't even told you what I do as Secretary of State, and I have to do it quickly because I'm already behind. Secretary of State's office, we register businesses, corporations, limited liability companies. We register charities, notaries, and I heard that there were some potential professional basketball players in this room. Is that correct? We register sports agents. Right? Don't be talking to a sports agent until you're ready to go pro, so hang on a little bit, all right? Because there might even be some baseball players here. But they have to be registered with the Secretary of State's office. I think that's an interesting part of what we do. We're also the Secretary of State government in the documents that are filed. When the governor signs a proclamation, it's not official till the Secretary of State signs it. It's a good thing I've got a big old Sharpie with a big old signature and everybody can see it. Natalie E. Tennant, Secretary of State. That's right, and that's what I do. That's what I say every time I sign something. Woohoo! And the E stands for Ethel. Thank you. How many of you would date a girl named Ethel? I'm not asking for myself. I'm not asking for myself. But I'll tell you what Ethel means. Ethel means noble. All right? So, quickly again, you know what the Secretary of State's office does. Also, the chief election official. I kind of forgot that one. Not really. 2016 is a huge election year. And one particular reason why I like coming here, other than to see the men of tomorrow for the state of West Virginia, is because this is about, yes, citizenship, the election side of citizenship. And as the chief election official, I work to implement modernizing our elections to make it easier for those who are eligible to vote. That's why in 2015, September, about 9 months ago, we started online voter registration. Any of you had the opportunity to use it yet? Not 18 yet? Have you used it? You're registered to vote. Awesome, I'm proud of you. The next thing is, did you go vote? Yes, he did. Awesome. You never know with that question. And now our next step is, and why online voter registration? You can do it on your phone, right? We just said you're sending all of those nice letters to your mom and dad through your phone, huh? The next step is automatic voter registration, to make it even easier for people to get registered to vote and to get government out of the way. So those are some of the advances that are being made from the Secretary of State's office, from your Secretary of State. So we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that you as a citizen is involved, is a participating member of democracy, but you got to offer something up yourself. You have to be engaged and involved too. And yes, I'm on Facebook, I get my news from Twitter, I see pictures on Instagram, I cannot figure out Snapchat, but I'll get it. And that's okay that you all use that, but you cannot solely depend on that, because that's not a good citizen of democracy. You have to question. Don't believe everything you read. Get it from several different sources. If you see something that says Democrat, don't solely believe it. If you see something Republican, don't solely believe it. If you see something Libertarian, don't solely believe it. Read all of them, and then you'll get the correct information. And be that responsible, participating citizen of our democracy, and that's how strong our democracy will be. Thank you all very much for being here this summer and listening to me.
Madam Secretary. Thank you. Attention. Gentlemen, it's my pleasure to give you a Mountaineer Boys State coin on behalf of Mountaineer Boys State for speaking.
Thank you.
Here, thank you.
Thank you.